This episode of Nerdist News is sponsored by Borderlands 3. Sorry, Game of Thrones fans, George R.R. Martin isn't listening. The final season of Game of Thrones came to a close earlier this year, putting the stamp on all the characters fans had been following for almost a full decade. Some lived, some died, and some ended up in charge of Westeros for some reason. And because of this closure, or maybe lack thereof, this last chapter of the hit series was full of highs and lows for almost everyone, with critics and fans agreeing that it was a mixed bag at best and disappointing at worst. Despite all this, the 2019 Emmy nominations dropped this week, with the final season scoring a record-breaking 33 noms, just as the cast and crew prepared to take their victory lap at San Diego Comic-Con, where fans will be able to have comments and concerns addressed in a calm and orderly fashion. This is gonna go well. Of course, not all of this fan drama has gone unnoticed. George R.R. Martin, the writer of the A Song of Ice and Fire book series that the show Game of Thrones was based on, opened up to the folks over at Entertainment Weekly about how he has handled all the fan feedback, outrage, and the challenges of telling the end of the story that we already know the ending of. First up, he broke down the pressures of responding to fan reactions concerning certain revelations that occurred over the last 2 seasons. The internet affects all this to a degree it was never affected before, like Jon Snow's parentage. There were early hints about who Snow's parents were in the books, but only one reader in 100 put it together. And before the internet, that was fine. For 99 readers out of 100, when Jon Snow's parentage gets revealed, it would be, oh, that's a great twist. Martin then went on to add, but in the age of the internet, even if only one person in 100 figures it out, then that one person posts it online and the other 99 people read it and go, oh, that makes sense. Suddenly, the twist you're building towards is out there. Basically, he's saying the way that readers interact with stories has completely changed since the first book in the A Song of Ice and Fire series was released in 1996. And when it comes to a currently running book series that started in an early internet era full of rich lore and hidden meanings that spawns many a fan theory, he might be one of the few authors to have faced this issue. He then explained the sinking feeling that comes with his audience suddenly knowing his big twists. There is a temptation to then change it in the upcoming books. Oh my God, it's screwed up. I have to come up with something different. But that's wrong, because you've been planning for a certain ending, and if you suddenly change direction just because somebody figured it out or because they don't like it, then it screws up the whole structure. So no, I don't read the fan sites. I want to write the book I've always intended to write all along. And when it comes out, they can like it or they cannot like it. And speaking of that ending, Martin also addressed the differences between the final seasons of the show and what will appear in The Winds of Winter and A Dream of Spring, the 2 books that will close out his book series. The whole last 3 years have been strange since the show got ahead of the books. Yes, I told showrunners David Benioff and Dan Weiss a number of things years ago, and some of them they did do, but at the same time, it's different. I have very fixed ideas in my head as I'm writing The Winds of Winter and beyond that in terms of where things are going. It's like 2 alternate realities existing side by side. But that isn't to say that he was immune to the crunch of the show as it caught up to his books. I felt a tremendous amount of pressure for years now. The most pressure I felt was a few years ago when I was desperately trying to stay ahead of the show. There was a point when the show was coming out in April and my editor said if I could finish the book by December, they'd rush it out. And the pressure I felt that fall was the greatest pressure I've ever felt. And then at a certain point, it became apparent I'm not going to finish it by then. Lucky for Martin, he's not letting the pressure get to him any longer. He's choosing to take the time to tell the story that he wants, saying, I don't only want to finish it, I want to make it as good as I possibly can. Since then, there's been pressure, but not like there was at that point. There's no longer a race. The show is over. And of course, he also gave fans his go-to answer about when we could see the next book. I'm writing the book. It will be done when it's done. If there is one thing we're sure of about George R.R. Martin, it's that he's going to do his own thing in his own time. Trying to get a specific date from him is a fool's errand. But what do you folks think? Were you satisfied with the ending of Game of Thrones? Will you read the next 2 books in A Song of Ice and Fire? And of course, when do you think The Winds of Winter will actually come out? Let's discuss. Thanks again to Borderlands 3 for sponsoring today's episode. The original shooter looter is back and bigger than ever. With 4 all-new Vault Hunters and over 1 billion guns, it's time to lock, load, and loot. Pre-order Borderlands 3 now so you can play when it drops on Xbox One, PS4, or PC on September 13th. Let's make some mayhem.